Hi, I'm Johnny from Wex, and we've come to Kew Gardens to show you the latest Panasonic Lumix lens. It's the S100mm F2.8 Macro. Fantastic as a medium telephoto lens, but also superb for real close-up stuff. So we're going to head into the glass houses and we're going to find some beautiful plants and we're going to get some amazing shots with it, and I'll tell you all about it. So what are the key details of this 100mm macro lens? It's a L-mount lens, so it is for Panasonic Lumix's full-frame S series cameras. It is an f2.8 aperture, so really nice and bright. So it's a true macro lens, which means it has a reproduction ratio of 1:1. In practice, that means that if you're focusing on something very small and you're filling the frame with it, you can get really close, so close that the subject is projected at life size onto the image sensor. That reveals a huge amount of detail, and if you're really getting into close-up photography, you want a 1:1 reproduction ratio lens. So I think this is absolutely a fantastic tool for that kind of work. You can get extreme magnification lenses, so 2:1, 5:1. Those are incredibly scientific, incredibly specific. This is general purpose, so it means that you can use it as a 100mm telephoto for everyday use, and then if you need to get really, really close, you can do that as well, which is fantastic. It is tiny. It is so light. I'm not noticing that weight on the front of the camera that you would expect from a telephoto lens. It's only 300 grams. It is roughly two-thirds the size of standard full-frame macro lenses that are available on the market. It's an actual marvel of technology, and that's why I'm so excited to be presenting it to you today. I'm amazed. I think that Panasonic have just done an incredible job of fitting all of that lens technology into a lens this small. This isn't doing it justice. I've got the lens hood on. That's how big this lens is. It's compact and it's lightweight, and if you're shooting 1:1 macro, you're not going to be shooting with the lens hood on for sure, because you want to get as much light around the camera and around you as possible. It is the same size as a counterpop. I mean, in fact, it's smaller than a counterpop. They have a long pedigree of making lenses for mirrorless cameras. They've always made smaller micro four thirds size lenses, so they've got that know-how to constantly push as much as possible into as little a package as possible. It's incredibly portable. I would not think twice about packing this 100mm in my bag so that I had that extra reach. Yeah, I love it. I just love the 100mm focal length as a medium telephoto that really compresses the field of view without being an extreme super telephoto. So this whole diorama of plants that's in front of me, these cacti that are reaching the ceiling that are taller than me with these amazing vicious spikes, can all be compressed. And when you walk past it. You see this shot and everything's compressed, and you see plant on plant on plant on plant. But if I was shooting with anything wider, it would be reduced to a smaller part of the scene, and there'd be much more architectural detail, which could be what you're going for. But for me, this long view down the greenhouse is absolutely beautiful, and I just need to step as far back from it as I can, and the 100mm takes care of the rest, and it holds it all in place. So this, while it's incredible and the detail is incredible for close-up macro shots, it's also really good for everyday walking around, finding new compositions that anyone wandering around with a wider lens would never be able to see. Well, they'd be able to see it, but they might not be able to visualize it with their camera. So having a 100mm in the bag that is so small and light is so convenient to give you that little bit of compression without carrying, a heavier zoom. This could be a great companion. So I'm testing out the close focus capabilities of this fantastic lens. We've got really close to some incredibly delicate flowers. It's also on a terrifyingly spiky plant, so I wanted to get both parts of the plant in in the shot. So I'm on a tripod, I'm stopped right down to f/22 for maximum depth of field. If this lens does go to f2.8, I could open it wide and I could look at a really fine point of focus for detail, and we'll try and find an example of that in a second. So I've just moved from a very, very close-up shot to these beautiful cacti, which are quite a bit larger. I'm photographing them from further back. There's a switch on the lens which lets you adjust the range of focus available. So you can have the full range from full macro all the way through to infinity. But if you have that setting, sometimes lenses can hunt forwards and back and it takes a long time to achieve focus. If you know that you're focusing close, then you can set it to 0.204 to 0.5 meters, and that means it's only focusing in the macro range, and that means that you're always going to be acquiring focus on close subjects, and the lens isn't having to move all of its optics further, which means it locks on much more rapidly. If you move to another situation where you're a little bit further back, and I am further back from these cacti, you can change it to 0.5 meters to infinity. That again sets the range that it's going to move the optics. It means it locks on a little bit faster. But you do need to be mindful when you change from shooting scenario to shooting scenario, especially somewhere as diverse as Kew Gardens, that if you've set it to one setting, you don't get caught out and go, why isn't it focusing, why isn't it focusing? You'll do it. And it does it on telephoto lenses across the board. It happens quite a lot that you fine-tune everything for one particular shot, and then you change your shot a bit later and you just need to check the settings, make sure everything's there. It's a manual switch on the side of the lens. It's really convenient, and once you're in it and you know it, then it'll just be almost automatic that you switch between as you're shooting. So full frame S system shooters will be familiar with the Lumix f1.8 Prime series, the 5 lenses from 18 through to 85mm, which are just fantastic. This lens is a continuation in the series. It is an f2.8 because it's a 100mm lens, but it's exactly the same size, it's comparable in weight, and we did a demonstration of that at our Putney branch.
Very excited to have a look at the other lenses with the 100mm here. We are in the video demo area, so if you're in the area, come in and check it out. It's really cool, lots of cool gear for you to have a look at. So we would be remiss to not talk about the video benefits of having these lenses, because it's such a great range of focal lengths, and most of them are the exact same weight. This is 300 grams, and these three right here are 300 grams. So let me just demonstrate to you how quickly I can switch over on a gimbal, which for filmmakers is going to be absolutely imperative. So this is the 100, and then I'll pop on the 50. Now the 50, I'm told, is only a 5-gram discrepancy in weight. So let's just see if that makes a difference. Incredible. Let's try another one. 35, same. Finally, the 24, incredible. So just imagine how much faster and easier your life will be when you're on a set, switching between all these different focal lengths. I know that these have a slightly heavier weight to them, so you might have to adjust a little bit more, but nowhere near as much as you would usually, because Panasonic, if anything, are just fantastic at making everything very similar. Not to mention they all have the exact same diameter, which is 67mm, which means for ND filters, popping those on and off is going to be dead easy. Matte box, handheld shooting, great. So gimbal and handheld, this is a dream setup. So I actually did get a very brief play with the lens from a video perspective, and I was blown away. I've never had a lens with such amazing range before. I don't really work with macro lenses, but it's convinced me. The shots that you're able to get are just so different and open up a new realm of opportunities for you as a filmmaker. I can imagine using this for weddings, food videography, getting such detail, but then because it's 100mm, when you open it out towards more of a landscape shot, you've got all this depth. Everything you point the lens at looks great. So super impressed, and definitely a good addition to the kit bag.
So I've talked before about how small this lens is, but it's important to have a chat about how they've done it. There are three key things that Panasonic have done to make this such a small lens in comparison with competitors' macro lenses. Number one, they've used 3 aspherical elements in the element groups. That means that they can compact and compress the lens design, the optical design, without losing any sharpness. So aspherical lenses often correct for aberrations that you can get when you try to do clever things with optics. 3 aspherical elements in there corrects for that. You get brilliantly sharp images. The second thing that they've done, which is worth knowing, is that there is no in-lens optical image stabilization. By removing that, they've been able to remove that floating element group that adds kind of size and that motor, and that means they've been able to pack it into a smaller package. The third piece of technology that Panasonic have included is a dual-phase linear motor that replaces the ring USM type motors that are commonly used in lenses to drive large element groups. Much more compact, it's a weight saving and it's a size saving. So those 3 things have made this such a small and light lens. It comes with a lens hood, which is quite robust, and it's got a button to release the hood so that stays locked on. You're not going to lose your hood in a hurry. They've darkened the text at the front of the lens, which is a useful feature and quite a nice detail that they've included for macro photographers. It means that if you're shooting really close to your subject and you're using flash, you're not going to get the text that's around the face of your lens reflected back from any reflective parts of your subject. There are 2 switches on the lens, one autofocus to manual focus, and the other is the focus limiter switch, which I mentioned earlier. And also it's weather sealed, it can survive temperatures up to -10 degrees, which is pretty cool, and it has its rubber seal around the side so that when it seals onto a body that's also weather sealed, you've got a fully weather sealed package. The hood's reversible, I suppose that's fun. It comes with front and back caps. Comes in a box as well. Doesn't come with a pouch, but put it in your camera bag, don't need a pouch. So that wraps up our first look at the Lumix S 100mm f2.8 macro lens. As you can tell, I've really enjoyed using this lens. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is the price. It is £999. Macro specialist lens for close-up photography. This is applicable not only to nature photography, as we've been doing now, but also products and beauty shots where you have to get close to your subject. I would also say that whether you are shooting a video or stills, if you're a wedding photographer, this will be a real boon in your kit bag to get rings, close-ups, makeup close-ups, table details, that latitude to go really close and pull those details into the story in such a lightweight lens is a huge benefit. It also, as a medium telephoto lens with a 2.8 aperture, means that you can shoot kind of slightly longer reception shots. Interior scenes are bright enough that you'll be able to shoot these comfortably, and it could be a real weight saver if you're carrying a lot of kit around to have this in the bag, maybe perhaps instead of a 70-200. If you want to get your hands on this lens, it is out now. You can order it on the link below. Let us know in the comments what you think. Are you going to be adding this to your kit bag? And if you take pictures with it, let us know. We love to be tagged in all of your pictures on Instagram, on wherever you post your pictures. Let us know that you've shot with it. I've been Johnny from Wex. This has been the first view of the Lumix 100mm f2.8 macro lens. See you next time.